it is funny because so many practitioners or self-help, or I mean, you hear that all the time. Well, you should sit with that. You should feel that, feel to heal.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is a lot of the I work a lot with women, and a lot of the time they just come in and going like, uh-huh, okay, what is that? Like, how do I okay, there's a mechanic, like there's a technique to feeling your actual feelings in your body. And the first part of that is really recognizing and understanding like that feelings are sensations within your body. They're physical sensations.
Okay, we're going.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, we're going.
Welcome to the Healing is Possible experience. I am your host, Rebeccah Silence, author, media personality, and emotional healing and relationship coach. And our mission week after week for you with this show is to take you on a journey of hope and healing, but to support you also in quantum leaping yourself into an experience of optimal wellness and just the best possible quality of life that you could have. And I don't want us afraid to hope. I don't want us afraid to imagine what life on the other side of whatever it is that you believe is in the way for you right now might be. And today we have a very special guest, near and dear to my heart, Alana Warlop, one of my coaches, mentors, and dear friends. And we just did some private work together and had been talking about, you know what? People say feel to heal, but they don't really show us how or what that looks like or why it's even worth it. So today, so honored to welcome Alana to the show. Alana, thank you for being with us.
Oh, it's always my honor to be with you, my love. Thank
I'm
you.
very excited for this conversation. So
Yeah.
let's just dive into the deep end of the pool here. I mean, share a little bit with us just about who you are and why this topic is important, and then let's just go.
Okay, so um, I am it's such a mouthful, and every time I explain what I am, I'm always like, buckle your seatbelt. So it's a transpersonal psychotherapist, and I have a specialty in trauma release. And then I'm also I kind of on the other end of this spectrum, but something that is, I feel like, essential, like a mystic. And I work shamanically, I work intuitively, I work with the quantum realm, and I work with just basically, in essence, if we can break all of that down, to tap into a frequency, a resource of love that we are, then everything actually comes back into alignment and can heal itself. But I love the emotional, nerdy, biohacky kind of, I call it like emotional biohacking, part of the science of our mind and our brain and the nervous system and how we process things and why we get stuck in patterns, how we heal. It's just been fascinating to me. And so over the years, I have kind of gone from being a therapist in an office in Denver, Colorado, to a pretty much galactic nomad that lives in Bali. And I work, closely with the high priests and mystics of Bali and the spiritual energy there. And I come back and I give, like we got to do, personal and private retreats. I give women's retreats all over the world and workshops. So that's currently where I'm landing right now in San Francisco. I'm back in the US for another 5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think more than ever in 2023, we got to reset during pandemic, whether we wanted to or not, and we were all in it together simultaneously. I think it's one of the rarest times in history where no one could really deny that we were all going through transformation and an opportunity for healing all together, all at once. And now I just see so often in 2023, people have way more clarity, I believe, than ever before about what is working, about how they're living. They've let go of some of how they were living that maybe they recognized wasn't working for them. But I think for a lot of people, there's still this experience of almost like floating and not necessarily having their bearings. And, it's like we can't rush ourselves in the same way we used to, because
Mhm.
we see the cost of that and we're more awake and aware. So there's more and more of an opportunity to feel into the moment we're in, feel our own truth. But how do we do that? And then what do we do with that information? So let's talk about feel to heal. Let's talk about what that means and where to go next.
Yeah. And I want to caveat for a moment of just, after the pandemic, which, I guess officially like today, it's getting announced as it's over, whatever that means.
Yeah.
But there's this kind of like energy of you should be better. You should be fine now. Like we should all be fine now. But what happened was we were in this condensed time of trauma, crisis all together, all the time. We were in it. And we don't process trauma while we're in trauma.
Mhm.
So what's happening now for many people, so many people, is that you're actually starting to process the trauma of the past 3 years. And that can be very confusing when something is over. And now there's a little more disorientation because life has changed and your routines or your way of being may have changed a lot. You may have realized what's important, what you actually can take out of your life. And we are in a process of now collectively moving into the healing phase, but it doesn't feel that way for so many people. It feels like, wow, this is like one of the hardest times of my life, or I'm still in a depression, or I'm having more anxiety than I did before. So I want to tell people too, like, don't worry about that, but your body is needing a process of release of what we've all gone through and all the traumas that happened within the massive collective trauma, right?
Yeah.
So, we're all our personal things that, shit hit the fan. So it was like, and many people had like awakening experiences. I don't mean that shit hit the fan in a bad way. Some crazy shit, but like we also had deep healings and insights and awakenings, and that was this collective reset so that we could come to a higher vibration as a community, at least for some people, right? That's the opportunity. I think it's available for all of us if we can get to this part, which is actually knowing how to process what is going on within us. And it is funny because so many practitioners or self-help, or I mean, you hear that all the time. Well, you should sit with that, you should feel that, feel to heal.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is a lot of the I work a lot with women, and a lot of the time they just come in and going like, uh-huh, okay, what is that, like, how do I, okay, what, there's a mechanic, like there's a technique to feeling your actual feelings in your body. And the first part of that is really recognizing and understanding like that feelings are sensations within your body, they're physical sensations. And we talk about this thing called the felt sense. And the felt sense is this beautiful kind of combination of the physical sensation along with like a, a sense of a knowing, almost like an intuition. It's sort of like your intuition combined with a sensation that allows you to learn from and understand a emotion or a feeling. So if we actually sit in meditation and you have anxiety and you're kind of like going on that loop. I call it like a downward spiral or an upward spiral is where our thoughts will bring us. So if we when we're starting to feel a little anxious or something in our brain is identifying that there's something to be afraid of, or a story or a judgment that's coming. And that then kind of like gives momentum to that negative, like looping thoughts that we are kind of conditioned and trained in. Then we start to hit the downward spiral. But when you can feel that as a sensation, you can stop and say, oh, that's just, I'm feeling a lot of tightness in my lungs, and my throat just got closed. And I feel this like shoot of energy up into my, into my head, around the front of my eyes. And it's just right here. And then I can go into another layer of that, which is, what is the quality of that sensation? What does that sensation actually feel like? Like, where does it begin in my physical body or energetic body? And where does it end? Is it thick? Is it thin? Is it like soft? Is it hard? Is it heavy? Is it light? So we actually go and focus on the descriptive words that then help us mm, like pinpoint and get to know that energy better. And then once we have that, we can kind of like, this is that felt sense part. We almost start to commune with it, right? We have to maybe ask it a question. What is your purpose here? And not from the mind that we answer, but from the intuition, from the felt sense of like, this energy has an intelligence, and it doesn't mean that it communicates to me with words like, oh, hey, I'm this memory from when you were 5, and this is the trigger, and here you go. It's very non-linear. And you have to just be okay with the non-linear communication sometimes that your body gives you. And so this is a skill that we learn and we practice. And once we learn how to actually move inward when we're having an activation like anxiety, depression, fear, worry thoughts, self-doubt thoughts, right? We bring all the energy out of the mind and we drop it in, and we start naming the sensations in the body, which instantly takes us from the head down to the heart. And then we can feel into what's there. Like, ooh, like that feels familiar. That feels so old that it feels like I'm 2 years old, right? That feels so old, it feels like a different lifetime, right? Like maybe I see an image from a different life. Like this can get almost esoteric, like healings from different timelines can come in, but very much, healings from your own life. And we don't need to even have a memory or know where it came from. But what our job is now is to sit with it and feel into it and watch it kind of shift and change, and be able to be in a loving conversation with it, and maybe just holding it in a warmth. And we maybe channel in some divine loving energy that we never got, and that part of us, that energy within us, just needs to feel some softness, some warmth,
Yeah.
some love. Like I can see you now. I'm available to just hold you even though you're uncomfortable. And with that sensation, when you stay with it for long enough, will eventually dissipate. And then it will kind of transmute into something that feels like peace, into something that feels like joy, or like, just oneness. And then we float into this energy of like, wow, I understand more of the totality of who I am, is this bigger presence of peace, or love, or compassion, or release. Maybe I just want to feel relief, right? Most of us are just a lot of the time looking for feelings of relief. And relief is a great feeling, because relief is relaxation with like a deep feeling of surrender, right?
Mhm.
And again, these are all experienced within our human body. And when we can feel that sensation and detach all these crazy stories that our mind wants to loop on, then it leaves our body for good, And the story, actually, the mind calms because your nervous system calmed, right? There's a whole physiological effect that happens, and your brain doesn't activate and grip onto the same thing because it's not perceiving that it's under threat when it's not anymore. So this is the way that we get rid of triggers. And I don't say that lightly. Like,
Yeah.
I know how hard it is to get rid of a trigger. We generally we manage our triggers with self-talk, with distraction, healthy or unhealthy distraction, but this is actually a methodology of how you eradicate that trigger response from your body. And that's like true, what we talk about, like you truly can heal. And it's fascinating to
Yeah,
watch it.
you're giving a master class that I hope people listen to more than once. And I just want to pull out a few different pieces of what you're saying so we can elaborate further.
Yes.
The first thing that I just want to go back to is what you said about you can't heal through trauma while you're still in it, in the environment, in the experience. And there's a difference between being in the actual environment, literally, and then being in that almost post-traumatic stress experience of it continuing. So one of the things I just want to say about this is, just finding the right support, at least for me, has taken me out of the experience, even if I'm not in it. And even if I'm in it, being in that connected relationship, communing with coach, therapist, mentor, in that moment, you can literally recognize and realize and just decide, well, right here, right now, I'm safe. Right here, right now, this isn't happening. And then I like to just at least when I'm talking about and teaching the practice of emotional healing, I don't necessarily believe life is happening to us like toxic positivity. Oh, let's find the gifts. I just think it's happening. And then we get to decide who we're going to be, but we also get to decide who we're connected to so that we can be reminded of in this moment, healing is possible. In this moment, I'm connected, I'm supportive, I'm safe, and equipped to, you use this word, transmute this experience I'm having so I can get to another one. And I just want to say it like that because I believe the point of feel to heal is to create a new experience, not to get the external to have been different or to be different now. So I just wonder if you have anything else you want to say about, you can't heal the trauma while you're in it, because I just thought that's such an important point to not rush through for our audience here.
Yeah, and there's such a deep sense of almost like accountability that we have to take with ourselves in order to realize that, sometimes the trauma isn't, activated in our like physical space, but we're perceiving that it is, right? Because of past trauma. So that's, again, it's like we've got to train ourselves or call in that support or just be accountable and say, hey, this is where I'm at right now. And that's fine. That's great. I can be here. Like, this is the first step of me saying, like, oh shit, I'm still in this situation where I am getting traumatized, belittled, abused, um, not treated well, just any of these kinds of things. And I have to say, like, okay, if this is the step I'm at, my next step is, how do I actually create a safe space for myself? How do I move towards safety? What's my next step towards a safe space physically first? And then, and then if that's all good, then it's like, okay, emotionally, now I have to learn what it means to feel safe, not from an external environment, but from my internal reality. It has to feel safe, which is, a lot of work.
And possible, right?
And
Regardless
totally
of what
possible.
you've been through. And you and I both,
Yeah.
I think, are walking testimonies of this in our personal lives, but also in our practices. And so this is where I want to go back and differentiate between emotions and feelings. You made a subtle distinction. And
Mhm.
what I like to teach is that there's a difference between our feelings about the external
Mhm.
and the emotions that are underneath all those feelings. Sometimes those feelings are triggers that if we would just have a healthy relationship with our emotions, we would feel safer feeling our way through them. But a lot of people get it all collapsed together. We're not born knowing that we are going to be abandoned or abused or rejected. We're not born knowing jealousy. And I just think anxiety and depression and rejection, betrayal, abandonment. I mean, we could just go on and on, but these are all experiences we had that don't have to define us, that don't have to continue to be the experience we're having. And sometimes these experiences are how we protect ourselves and keep ourselves managing our patterns and our pain, because at least we know how to survive it. So I just want to point out, sometimes feeling into how rejected we feel can keep us in the spiral you were talking about, instead of letting ourselves go, okay, this is real. I'm not pretending like it isn't, but what's the emotion underneath that? What's underneath that if I'm brave enough, it's not going to make it worse. It's going to actually get me to the place where I can clear out emotionally so I can connect to my intuition again.
Oh, that's so well said, my love. Um, yeah, and there's that layer that we've become so afraid of, to go in and sense and be with the emotion, because our primal brain, it's like this brain that was trying to make sense of these things that happened to us. It would link things together. So it was like, well, if you feel, then the story that you're worthless is true. So if I feel it, then a lot of the times I work with people around, I don't want to feel it because they don't want to face the story that it means about them. They
Yeah.
don't want to face that perception that they might have of themselves that is unworthy, and all the things, unlovable, not good enough, right? Like these core wound beliefs. But those were just the meanings that we attach to them. When you honestly go in and just feel, it's like I was kind of explaining before, it's a physiological, physical sensation that you sit with, and it rises to an intensity, and then it goes back down on its own, because that is the lifespan of an emotion. It goes up to the crest of a wave, and then it comes back down, and it goes down to a baseline. Always,
So
always, it will
good. Yes.
always do that if we don't keep hitting the button of like um the thoughts. It does mean this, it does mean that, it does mean that, it doesn't mean that. Well, what if it means this, and what if it means that, and what did that person say, and what did they mean by that, and da, 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 da. Like, am I being judged, am I being okay here? Like, if you can mindfully, and this is kind of a mindfulness practice, right, to just come fully into this sensation, you're like, oh, that's like a rising in my gut. I feel like I just got punched, and like I feel all that tension and maybe a little nausea. And but if I can be with that and then let it come up and be as intense as it wants to, and then come back down, I always tell people, a sensation will never kill you. You can sit with and feel any sensation in your body, which means you can feel any feeling, any emotion, and it doesn't mean anything about you, and it will never hurt you. It will
Yeah.
never hurt you to do that
Or
to
make
yourself.
things worse. I think
Right.
that's really important to point out too, because
Totally.
one of the big things that I hear in my practice is, oh, I don't want to make this worse, especially when it comes to
Right.
couples. And as you're listening to Alana and I right now, don't forget how important the mastery of being willing to develop that muscle and skill of feeling to heal is when it comes to your relationships. Because if we've got two people unwilling to feel beyond just that surface, right? And mindset and strategy work, it's not enough to heal patterns or to get you a clear channel again, able to relate as you now, today, at this age, as the best of you. So we have so many couples and families all emotionally clogged up and funky and afraid to make things worse. And in that fear, they're just limiting their ability to experience the highest levels of peace, joy, love, fulfillment, not just individually, but also in their relationships. So I think, not only is it very true what Alana's saying, a sensation isn't going to kill you, but your emotions aren't either. But we've got to be able to get beyond just the mind, beyond just the ability to physically connect to our bodies, and to the place where spiritually we're connected to our intuition and to our emotional truths until it just doesn't threaten us anymore. And I just also want to point out, it is possible to have such a healthy relationship with your emotions that you use them as your guidance and you're never threatened by them. Not only can you survive any sensation, you can learn the 5 emotions that I teach in the practice of emotional healing are just anger, grief, fear, joy, and excitement. And you can't have joy and excitement without a healthy relationship with anger, fear, and grief. And some people, they're more comfortable in the darker emotions. Some people are more comfortable in the lighter emotions. But I just want to point out how absolutely possible it is to have a healthy relationship with all of them. So important.
Love it.
And this work that we're doing, you don't need to make sense of it either. I think we should talk about this as well. Like, there's not a reason why you're feeling how you're feeling. It's just you're human. And it's like the emotional weather. We have an emotional range that hopefully this episode is helping you see the possibility of expanding your emotional range. But also, there's emotional weather. It's not your fault, but it is your work, right? Who you're going to be in the moment and what you're going to allow to come. And then one more quick thought here before I throw the ball back to you. I don't believe, and I'd love your take on this, that other people or life is ever going to be safe enough for us to learn how to go here within ourselves, right? Like you being you honoring the truth of who you are, especially where you're at emotionally, that's always available to you, and nothing and no one can take that away from you. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, and I think again, this is like what we talk about sometimes in a more spiritual context is, coming to your own sovereignty and understanding that word sovereignty. And I had a big journey around the word sovereignty, which is, creating this like inner kingdom or queendom in which you are the manager. You are the CEO of this, all my little inner parts. And I have to recognize those parts and I have to manage the strong emotion. And sometimes, like when the universe throws us like all of these crazy external things, we have to, have the resilience or start to learn that, like, I can handle that. I can handle that. I don't need to go outside of myself to look to have someone else tell me that I'm okay or someone else take it away or it's really feeling this is the essence of like the self power that is intrinsic to us when we can manage our own emotional storms or emotional landscape. It's like, okay, if I'm feeling, someone just said something and I was like, whoa, that was sticky. I'm able to say something like that, like, oh, that hit me like in the right side of my chest and my arm, and that felt sticky. And then for me to actually have the kind of grace of saying like, wow, that felt really, sticky. It kind of landed in me in this way that doesn't feel right, and I can maybe tell myself a story of like, you meant to judge me or insult me, like, and is that true? Can I push this back to you and say, hey, is that true what just happened and went down there? And then we could collapse this resentment or passive aggressiveness like in the moment. But if I'm not aware of how I feel and how something lands, then it's harder to do, right? So this every time we go deeper into the felt sense and deeper into understanding like our emotional landscape, we improve our relationships like 1,000 times. over and over and over again, they get better and better because I know what just happened within me. And then I don't have to externally make it about you or make it about this situation, or I don't have to be the victim,
Right.
right? I can be like, wow, that landed in me like this. Curious if that was what was going on for you. Can I offer that kind of like, I'm not going to assume that you want to hurt me, but we open up a conversation that's a little bit more vulnerable from there, right?
Absolutely.
Some
And
people are available for that, some aren't, but at
right.
least I'm doing my part to collapse, misunderstanding or conflict and that kind of thing because I know how I feel, which
And
is like,
you
yeah,
can,
go ahead.
right. And you can get to the place where you just know you're okay, whether they meant to, whether they didn't.
Right.
You can be in that experience of emotional clarity and just reclaim your right to have the volume turned all the way up on how gorgeous, precious, deserving, powerful you are, regardless of what's going on out here. And I think, you know, that's really what today's episode is about. Regardless, you can feel how you want to feel. You can live how you want to live. You can be all of you in the way that you choose to be, regardless, 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 not until and unless, until and unless, until and unless. And that's how so many people are living.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And this is like, again, we're all on this path of trying to learn something that we never got shown. We never got taught this. Like, how would we know how to do this? Some of the most like capable, amazing humans I know, we've got to go back and learn how to feel and go from that journey of being numb into seeing the beauty that you are. And I really feel like that's the spectrum, like from numbness into beauty, right? Into because like when we can actually see the beauty of who we are, we know that there couldn't possibly be a flaw in this divine makeup, right? We're fractals of this gorgeous, beautiful rainbow light, and like that might seem a little out there for people, but that's literally what we're made of. And every moment just creating, more beauty that's in harmony with nature. And until we see ourselves with that level of reverence and that level of like, awe, then it's so easy to just say like, yeah, this is like, I don't, no one has power over me, like it doesn't matter if that person judges me, like, let them hold that energy, that's always someone else's work, judgment. But can
Absolutely.
I just be in that place of like non-judgment and holding, for myself? It's the greatest journey you'll ever take.
Yeah, so let's talk next about what you teach around. There's always even a deeper level of surrender available and letting go of control. This is one of my favorite gifts from personally getting to work with you is just recognizing not just that it's safe to let go of control, but it's possible and how to do it. Can you walk people through that? Because again, if you're afraid this is going to make things worse, no, this is the answer. So preach.
Right, right, right. And it's so much of the time what I end up, really focusing in on with people in all different ways, in all different directions we get there from all different kinds of life paths and, trauma histories and, adversity and joys and, people being very um supported in their life. Like we all come back down to this energy of like we can surrender at a deeper level more and more and more, and it just doesn't even matter where you're at. Like this is something that everyone can like deepen in their practice of. And I like to say it like that, like this is also a practice, of resetting our whole nervous system and body into a template from which it gets to grow. And it's like that is the place of surrender, right? That is the place of like we cannot have surrender without trust. We cannot have trust without actually knowing that we are reliable with ourselves, right? So that in essence is like the more that we can come and not run from or distract from our feelings and our emotions, we learn to trust that we can feel anything. And in that, we feel safe. I can feel safe within my own body. No one has to create that for me. Has nothing to do with the situation outside of me. This is all about just a feeling within me, safety and security. It's definitely not about the money that you've got, right? Like one of our biggest fallacies is that security is about money, but the feeling that money gives us, and everyone's probably heard that a bit in kind of the manifestation world, but like it has to be a feeling, and it is a feeling. So if we can create the kind of like situation or the kind of set the stage for your nervous system to register that safety and that like that level of security. I am okay in this world. I am safe, like you were saying before. I'm safe now. I may not have been before, but I am now, right? And then your body actually just relaxes, and relaxation is surrender. Literally, like your cells heal only when in a state of relaxation and relief. They will not heal. The cells of your body will freeze and not move if you are in any kind of
So
like
huge what
sympathetic
she's
state.
saying. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have to be in a relaxed state of, and we have to learn surrender in order to actually physiologically heal our bodies and our emotions and, our mind. So that's the biggest part. That's why so many healing practices is like, it's just about making you feel relaxed, whether you're doing energy work or sound bath or breath work, or it's like trying to get your brain into these like theta states, and from that place you're imprinting that everything is okay, because in order to be in that state you have to be safe, right? You can't let go that to that level if you don't feel safe. So like that the container that I create for people, it's that's why I use these kind of like shamanic and altered states of consciousness, because in those states we get to access our true nature, which is full surrender, relaxation, trust, safety, security. Like, but and then we program that and we connect our body and our mind into those states and we anchor those, and so that's again kind of a more therapeutic process, or a way of like imprinting your brain with these altered states to then draw from those altered states around how safe and how beautiful and how relaxed you can actually feel, and then you can walk through life like that. That is kind of the goal, is that we can walk
Yeah.
through life like that, not just walk out of the session and turn the anxiety back on, because the anxiety is the protective shield in which we stay in our defense mechanism. It's like learning how to amp up this other resource that we have, which is again the relaxation, the safety, the love that we are. When we can amp that up and practice that, then the volume goes naturally down on these other defense mechanisms. We don't have to learn how to deprogram them. We just have to learn how to program the
Yeah.
surrender, safety, and relief and relaxation states.
That's so beautiful. And then imagine from that place of surrender and security and safety internally, making money from that place, not from, I
Mm-hmm.
need the money to feel safe and secure, attracting
Yes.
the next great love story from that place, your next job, your next, group of support, your next coach, mentor, therapist, right? And all of this is so available to all of us in this new baseline set point default emotionally that we're talking about can really become the rule that you live by. And what I love about the way you just shared all that, Alana, is you are very much painting the picture of the cost of not letting go of control and surrendering. I mean, so profound. We can't heal when we're hyper vigilant. We
Mm-hmm.
can't heal until and unless we're powerfully relaxed. And we can't get powerfully relaxed if we need the external to be different for us to get relaxed internally. So
Right.
what a gorgeous, gorgeous conversation this has been. Would you be willing to take us into maybe just a couple minute meditation and experience of guided relaxation?
Yeah, for sure. One of the ways that I love to start to teach people a little breath work, because this is one of the things that takes your mind offline the fastest and the most effective, is called a three-part wave breath. And we take one hand and we place it on the belly, and we take the other hand and place it on the heart. And you're going to take 2 sips of an inhale. And with that first sip, the bottom hand is going to inflate and rise. And then the second sip, the top hand rises. And then the third is an exhale. And we're doing that through an open mouth, all through the mouth. And so I have you put your hand on your belly and your chest, because most of the time we're breathing up in this upper chest area, and we're breathing backwards. We're breathing in a way that activates the sympathetic nervous system. So in this way, I'm making sure that you are breathing down into your belly first, and expanding and inflating the stomach, and then coming up and inflating the chest. And we want to feel like we're inflating the sides and the back. So it's important because this retrains our breath system, which again essentially is like the way that we take in nourishment and light, and the way that we heal our body with this pranic force energy. So we're just going to do one hand down on the bottom and one hand on the top. And I'm going to start you out just closing your eyes and allowing your body to just come to this deep feeling of centeredness. It's so like you're kind of grasping and like pulling and magnetizing your energy towards you, towards this column in your spine, almost like that column or like an antenna of vibration and energy. And it's just magnetizing all of your energy back into you, away from any distraction, distortion, and any dissipation of your energy that has happened. And we're going to start to unify in breath now. So taking a inhale and inflating the bottom, top, and then exhale, open mouth. So you're opening your mouth wide, dropping the jaw, and continuing that pattern. And you're going to maybe feel like a little lightheaded, and that's perfectly fine. You want to just keep drawing the breath in, rolling it through, inviting in this powerful healing elixir in which you drink in through the nose, and letting that just come and caress the back of the throat, and like a stream of white crystalline light, letting that flow down the spinal cord, hitting the heart, the diaphragm, the belly, the womb space or energetic womb if you are a woman, all the way down into the depth of the perineum, pelvic floor and basin. And then from that basin of life-giving energy, just feel that river split into 2 streams, still breathing that circular breath, 3-part wave. And letting that beautiful nourishment and flow of light and energy come down through the legs, relaxing and nourishing and softening as it goes, as it floods down into the ankles, and it just starts to pool again at the base of your feet. and spilling forth from your feet and down into the richness of the Mother Earth beneath you, this soft, loving current of divine feminine frequency that you can rest and relax and surrender into. And just feeling the weight of your body being held, carried, nourished by this sentient being of the earth beneath us, the great mother who chose you fully to be here and in this life. Your soul, so important and unique, a pivotal part of this kind of interconnected matrix from which we all are a part of. So just feeling that beautiful source energy flowing back up through your legs into the pelvic floor, and like a kind of bursting flower of light energy, allowing that to then blossom in the base of your spine. And as though with your breath, you could drink it up the spine, letting it just kind of swirl and whirl around the body as it moves in this upward motion and comes up to the crown, and then like a waterfall down the front of the body again. And just letting that nourish and soften your entire body, your being. Letting go, letting go, letting go. And feeling the safety of this place and this space as you are surrounded in this beautiful, rich, golden, magnetic field, this orb of light around you, which contains your unique frequency and energy, the home of your soul and your body temple. And just feeling the reflection of that light shine through every cell of your body, of your being, and now letting that breath go and just coming back to normal breathing. Inhaling and exhaling softly, not even thinking about it, just being with the sensation, the vibration, the essence, and the energy of your divine heart. And then just noticing the difference between from when you started and from when you began. And from this space and place, moving forth from your day, from here.
So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for being here. How can people get in touch with you?
The easiest is my Instagram, which is just at Alana Warlop, and also my website, alanawarlop.com. So just my name, and you can start to follow events, retreats, and some workshops and online programs.
Beautiful. Such a joy to have this time with you. What I want to leave our gorgeous audience with is the idea that the point of feeling to heal is getting to the place where what you experience as the rule, not the exception, is more and more pleasure, more and more joy, more and more of your high standards. We are meant to feel and experience all the best, all the good that life has to offer. And for everyone watching, healing is possible. It's not promised, but it's possible for you, for me, and for all of us. Find me at RebeccahSilence.com if you are looking for individual coaching, couples work, whatever it might be. Reach out. We can help support you so fast. And there's also the free trigger trauma release method at RebeccahSilence.com to help guide you through next level of feeling to heal, in addition to what we talked about today, if that resonates. Thanks again for joining us. When you could be anywhere, doing anything, you're here growing and learning and feeling into possibility. What a gift. What a gift you are. Thank you again. Love you so much and see you very soon.